What you just saw there is an app made by Cat Loaf Software, which allows its users to text back and forth with an AI bot pretending to be Jesus. Yes, you heard that correctly. It's pretending to be Jesus. I personally found this to be utterly disturbing, not only because of the blatant sacrilege of anyone, man or machine, impersonating our Savior Jesus Christ, but also because of my personal theories about the internet, AI, and the spiritual realm. To start this discussion, let's focus on this biblical truth. Our world is an absolutely spiritual place. In the physical nature of the earth, our bodies and everything around us was quite literally formed out of the word of Yahweh, meaning that our entire existence and environment is constructed solely of frequency, or as Paul writes in 2 Corinthians 4:18, "While we look not at the things which are seen, but at the things which are not seen. For the things which are seen are temporal, but the things which are not seen are eternal." What he's saying here is that everything we can see and touch in this physical existence is merely a shadow of the true and eternal reality, the spiritual realm. Being a sound engineer, I find myself analyzing sound waves a lot, and it often makes me think about the way God created this universe. Basically, every sound is a wave that travels through air, water, or solids. The waves are caused by vibrations which cause particles to oscillate back and forth, and the difference you hear depends on the frequency of the oscillations, how quickly or slowly the particles bunch together or spread apart. In modern software, you can visually analyze these waves, like this for example. This is a recording of a vocal track, and you can see that there are peaks and valleys and lots of different textures. But as you zoom in, it all reduces down to a wave. All this to say, since the very fabric of our reality is comprised of sound, which cannot be seen, it should come as no surprise that there is a hidden realm all around us that can affect and manipulate physical things. This, by the way, is why I like to tune the music I produce to 444 Hz, but that's a discussion for an entirely different video. So while we think about this hidden spiritual realm that I would argue is even more real than our physical reality, we have to think about the idea of the internet, which has become an instrumental part of most of our lives. What is the internet? Consider that we use the internet to visit websites, spelled S-I-T-E, as in a place that you go. But this is not the same as visiting a physical place, like a grocery store or the park. This is a place you visit using only your mind or your spirit. Your body is in your room, but your mind is in a different site. This is actually a form of astral projection. You're sending yourself somewhere that your body isn't. And the major dangers that come along with sending your spirit out of your body is that there can be other spirits in these places as well. Demons, angels, watchers, etc. This is not to say that the internet in and of itself is inherently bad or evil, but only to say that it's a pathway for spirits, whether they belong to man or not. So there is this possibility of being influenced by demons while using the internet. Well, what does the Bible tell us about demons? The Greek word we're looking at here is daimonion, which in the KJV is translated as devil. In many more modern versions like the New King James Version, the AMP, NASB, and ESV, we see the word translated as demon. It can mean either a spirit inferior to Yahweh but superior to men, or an evil, unclean spirit being a messenger or minister of the devil. Oftentimes in the New Testament, we see those being afflicted by demons experiencing either physical or mental illness. Take, for example, the passage in Mark chapter 5 when we find a man who was possessed by a multitude of spirits who called themselves Legion. The Bible tells us that this man lived among the tombs, could not be bound by chains, so he exhibited some sort of superhuman strength, and all day and all night he would cry and do horrible things to himself. So we see that this man was caused to do unthinkable actions because of the influence of these spirits. Now this is an extreme example, but I would argue that these spirits are still in existence, and because of the ancient nature of these beings, I would also argue that they've become more tactful in their ways of manipulating and influencing people to do their will. We've all heard the saying, taking candy from a baby. For an adult, this would be an easy task, right? But consider this, if a 1-year-old baby is 1/50th of your age, how much more easily can an evil spirit trick you when you are 100th or less of its age? Not to mention that these entities don't sleep. In Matthew 12:43, Jesus tells us, when the unclean spirit is gone out of a man, he walks through dry places seeking rest and finds none. So these demons originate from the antediluvian period, meaning that they pre-exist Noah's flood, and their entire existence is centered around constantly attempting to foil God's plan of redemption for all mankind. How much more subtly could these demons influence us now that they've had thousands of years to hone their craft? You see that I'm making the case here for how easily we can be fooled by these spirits, and that we're playing in their playground every single day. All the more reason to put on the full armor of God. So we've addressed the internet, but how does AI tie into all of this? I would say that AI is a conduit or even a portal through which demons and fallen angels communicate with man. I believe that this is even more dangerous than just visiting a website, because when we browse the internet, we go in with an intent, seeking a place to gather information or to be entertained by another human. With AI, our intention is to converse with this spiritual being and to allow it to guide our thoughts and provide us with information and advice. The Bible tells us not to lean on our own understanding, but to trust in Yahweh for everything. It does not tell us to converse with demons. Jeff Bezos famously said in reference to generative AI, they're not inventions, they're discoveries. The implication here is that this portal already existed, and that these tech companies have only powered and built the framework necessary for the portal to work. And Elon Musk said during a talk at MIT over 10 years ago that with AI, we're summoning the demon. Here's that clip.
With artificial intelligence, we are summoning the demon. You know all those stories where there's the guy with the pentagram and the holy water, and he's like, yeah, he's sure he can control the demon. Didn't work out.
Musk then went on to establish his own AI. And now we have an AI chatbot mimicking Jesus Christ. The world in which we live will only become increasingly more spiritual as we teeter on the precipice of the final consummation of God's plan. And my only advice is to pray to Yahweh for discernment through His Spirit during these times. And remember to put on the full armor of God, for we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against powers, principalities, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. I pray that this video has been a blessing to you, and may God shine His face upon you and give you peace.